Welcome back to the InherAlchemist TV. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look into Latisha Scott of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Before we get started, please like this video, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and also that you have your notification bells on. Also, please check me out on the InherAlchemist at Etsy. So I wanted to check in on Latisha. I know there's been a lot surrounding the passing of her first cousin, Kiki. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out the tarot tribute that we did on her, you can go ahead and check that video out as well. So I wanted to check in on Latisha and see where her head was at, how she was feeling, and see if we can offer any type of solace or comfort to her as well, right? I know there's a lot going on in these YouTube streets. All of that is irrelevant to me. I'm worried about the souls, and right now I'm sure that everyone is grieving. Some people may feel guilt, some people may not. This is what I will say. In the passing of my relatives, not only did the Holy Spirit give you a comforter, all you have to do is ask for a comforter and you will get one. But also in knowing that you never did wrong by anybody, never said a negative thing to them, never did anything to hurt them, never did anything to disrespect them. You can find much peace in the passing of someone who you did not do wrong. Now, if you feel like you've done something wrong, it's never too late to make amends with that within yourself person. You can just write it down. You can write it down. You don't always have to express things to the other person, but you are having a human experience and you will get angry, even though it says be angry but sin not. You will have feelings, you will hold grudges, and although you shouldn't, because all of that just manifests as physical ailments for yourself, just remember that you still are human and you're not above petty emotions. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you owe somebody in their death. It doesn't mean that their death absolved them from any wrongdoing and they were all of a sudden an angel. No, it doesn't mean any of that, right? So just keep those things in mind. Take a deep breath. I want you guys to kind of put yourself in Leticia's shoes right now, so that we can learn how to have a greater empathy for each other as Black women. So take that deep breath. And right now, this moment is about Latisha Scott. So Leticia's coming in as the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. This is a feeling of feeling trapped. You know what I mean? I feel like Latisha wants to run away right now. Most definitely. Because this Nine of Pentacles in reverse represents a longing for some type of freedom from something. You know what I mean? There's something that she's resisting the temptation to do. I don't know if that's to show out or to speak out or to say anything, but there's something that she's trying to hold back and bite her tongue about. I feel like she's in like a position where she has a lot of things that she wants to say, a lot of things that she's feeling down in her core that she doesn't feel has a proper medium or channel for expression. It's also her struggling with feelings of fakeness and her questioning her internal values. I feel like she's at a state in her life where she's having some type of like internal reckoning as well regarding her own actions and regarding the things that she chose to pursue and the pressure that she held in certain situations. So everything is not well with Latisha right now, for sure. I feel like she's also being taken advantage of, possibly by family, possibly by friends, who knows. But listen, we know when people pass away, money is a huge thing, right? I'll just share this brief story with you guys. My mom died at the hands of another person. And, my mom, she was kind of like the black sheep of her family. She was the youngest. And out of the 12 sisters and brothers that she had, she was the one who was taken and raised by another family. And so she kept a relationship with like her sisters and brothers biologically, but she was whisked off to be with like this affluent family, right? And so her relationship with her biological sisters and brothers became estranged because, I mean, jealousy is an overrated word, but my mom used to speak very proper. She used to dress very nicely, have very nice things. And then when she would go to see her sisters and brothers, there were 11 of them. Resources were scarce. They didn't have anything, and and they didn't like her. And that grudge really like stood in place for my mom's entire life, and then it picked up with my sisters and brothers versus my mom's sisters and brothers kids, so the cousins. Then it picked up when my little brother died in a car accident at the hands of one of my mom's sister's children. You know what I mean? So this realm of grief, funerals, the dead, family dynamics, I mean, I tell you, it's just funny how all of these things that I come across in this sector are really snapshots for things that I've been through. And I always tell you guys on the InherAlchemist at Etsy, everything that I offer is something that I've transmuted, is something that I've experienced, right? And grief being one of them, right? I'm thinking about just offering grief water for anyone who wants it at no cost. All you have to pay is the shipping, right? But we do have grief alchemizer waters to help with that. But anyways, money is a thing. Money is a thing, right? Insurance is a thing, right? Sometimes these networks like Kingdom Reign or OWN, they even have life insurance policies on their employees where they are the beneficiaries, right? So her family's going to have to be really diligent in figuring out who has what and who's benefiting. But for right now, as far as Leticia is concerned, because that's about Kiki, it looks like there's some type of there's a way that Latisha is seen as easy prey. And for me, with this Nine of Pentacles being in reverse, that shows me that maybe it's surrounding money matters, right? Right now, Latisha's happiness is under siege, it's under threat. Whether that's something that she's experiencing from the inside or something that's actually happening on the outside. And she may just be called to her own reckoning for whatever reason. A reckoning or a chastising by the Holy Spirit has nothing to do with what you've done wrong. It's just your time. It's just your time to be ushered into your true life purpose and how you're going to live your life, right? We know that Leticia probably has feelings because I think she said in a recent interview that her cousin was dead to her, and now it's a literal thing, right? I'm sure that's something she's struggling with, but her comment also alludes to a person that holds grudges, right? Even if they feel like, I'm not mad, I'll just dismiss you, it's still a grudge, right? And a lot of us hold grudges. Vindictiveness is a form of a grudge. Some people only feel passion when they're being vindictive, you know what I mean? But it all stems from a grudge, right? In any event, there seems to be like some issues within the family surrounding money. I don't know if there's some fighting. Looks like somebody has done some damage to maybe some of her property. Back to the story about that I was telling about my mom, when she passed away at the hands of another person, we were taken to like the police station. And when we went to the police station, all of the family who we had never seen in like 10, 15, some years, some even more than that, they came into the house that we were living in, and they just raided and ransacked all my mom's things. And they just took her stuff. They took her furs. They took her luxury items. And these were like her relatives. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know if their intention was to have a keepsake or memory of her, but it was just awful. It was awful. Death brings out so many dynamics when it comes to families, right? In any event, I don't know, it looks like Leticia is being taken advantage of financially surrounding this entire matter. And maybe there's like a sense of her, like I said, feeling trapped, feeling responsible for something, but knowing that she's not. Or with the sense of entrapment, getting a sense that someone's saying like, if this doesn't happen, we're going to do this or something like that. But it doesn't seem like it's justified on the part of the doer, right? Leticia was recently at a point in her life before this happened where there was so much for her to enjoy about life, but she just couldn't. She wasn't enjoying herself. She was like putting her pursuit of material gain or her pursuit of getting ahead of all of her familiar relationships that needed to be ironed out, and not just with Kiki, just across the board. Could be even with her mother. Leticia is like at a state where she prioritized her family and her legacy over relationships that were of a interpersonal nature, right? And I think that that led to the sense of her feeling, I don't know, maybe some kind of slight depression herself. I don't know if she was aware of this, but I feel like there was a general sense in her of maybe being dissatisfied, or I don't know. But there is like a sense of her trying to make other people believe that she's leading this perfect, charmed life. But inside, that's not what it is. Inside, she's very discontented. But again, I think that it's because she's separated from a lot of relationships in pursuit of money, right? And money. It's funny when I do these readings in Huntsville, a lot of the stuff is surrounding money. A lot of it, right? And that's understandable. I mean, people, they live in Alabama, right? So, people struggle through poverty, generational poverty, and there's nothing wrong with them having ambitions to better themselves or their circumstances or their families. But it seems like what it's doing to these people in the process is where it comes in at, That's why you have to ask God to prepare you for your blessings, at least as what you think they are, right? Ask that you're adequately prepared to resonate in the spirit of those blessings, right? All right, so let's move forward. So that's her general outlook and disposition right now. That's where she's at with it, right? Let's talk about who Leticia is as a person. What is the essence of Leticia? Leticia, with this Three of Pentacles in reverse, has struggled with a sense of mediocrity looming around the corner. There's something in her that fears being basic or fears being perceived as basic. And I think that makes perfect sense with the pursuit of money. Money does not change you from being basic. Money actually makes you more of what you are. Power makes you more of what you are. It doesn't change you. It exacerbates everything that's repressed inside of you, right? Leticia has been overworking herself. She's been feeling very exhausted, burnt out, trying to keep up. And I think it's resulted in her not really producing the best work for herself. You know what I mean? So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You fear this mediocrity, then you work so hard to prove that you're not mediocre, then you burn yourself out, and then everything you do turns out to be mediocre. That's like what do they call it? I think it's the Pygmalion theory, or Pygmalion theory. It's like that. It's like cause and effect, but I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy more than anything, right? Leticia she still has this longing and this craving for some type of recognition. She wants to be recognized. She wants to be noticed. And I just don't think that that's happening for her for whatever reason, right? But I think it also has to do with her output being far from the best that she could or has to offer. Maybe and honestly, this could have to do with the show. Maybe there's a range that Leticia has that she hasn't been able to express. It could be by the censorship of her husband. It could be by the production of the show. They may not be visualizing her range. It could be for any reason. Whatever it is, though, there is a part of her that doesn't put her best efforts for it as well, right? The Three of Pentacles in reverse also denotes that you have a lot of problems within your social circles. And you listen, I've called Leticia out on this in the past, where I just kind of feel like she's spoiled. I just feel like she's spoiled, and she has like this attitude where she wants things to be her way. And I think it goes from family relationships to her marriage to her friend groups, And I think that she does that through kind of like the manipulation of her emotions. And this is confirmed because I have this Three of Cups here facing her Three of Pentacles in reverse. And the Three of Pentacles in reverse is about problems with your social circle, but with you coming on as the Queen of Cups, this is also saying that emotional manipulation could lead to the breakdown of a lot of your friend group or social group situations, right? So Leticia might, I don't know much about her, but based on these strings, there may be based on this spread, there may be a sense of her pulling some strings. She might be a little bit more of a puppet master than we're all seeing visually, just based on this Queen of Cups coming in next to the Three of Pentacles in reverse, right? Yeah, I definitely see it that way. And also, this is kind of maybe her. I don't know. Maybe she has that same type of maybe her and Kiki shared in common their feeling of inadequacy, because I remember I saw that in Kiki's reading. Now, this could be because they grew up on the quote-unquote other side of the tracks, but this could also be because they're in the deep south. It could have to do with colorism, but it seems like within their family, because I'm seeing this with Kiki and now Latisha, with the women, there's a sense of not being good enough for the circles that they were propelled or ushered into. And I don't think it's that you're not good enough, but you're not adequately prepared. Sometimes you go into those circles with the imagination or dream of what you think those people are like, and then you interact with them based on that fantasy or dream projection of that, instead of being able to see it for what it is. Because if you look at people for what they are, you'll see that they're just like you. It doesn't matter where you're from. We all bleed. We all have the same inborn set of emotions and responses to life and things like that, right? That's why I don't feel like people should shun certain prototypes of people due to judgment or fear. Just get up on them, get up close on them, right? I remember an ex of mine I was dating when I was going through some bad anxiety. He told me, don't run from it, run to it. And he's like, that's how you get rid of fear. And that includes fear of getting to know people or all of that, right? Don't run from it, run to it, right? Anyways, this Three of Pentacles is giving me like a sinking feeling. I don't know if Leticia is hanging out in some type of basement or something like that, but whatever it is, it's like she's, like I said, trying to run and hide in a hole. She doesn't want to be bothered, and for whatever reason, doesn't want to talk. If she does speak, it's almost like the interviews or the conversation just goes awry. There's some people who have hit her up and asked her questions or asked her to speak on something. She's been turning them down. There's a lot of trouble going on with the network, with the show right now, as far as the hierarchy. I don't know if this has to do with Carlos Kings or other people who may have a kind of a power position over her, or a boss or something like that, because it is Pentacles, you know what I mean? The Three of Pentacles does have to do with your bosses, your superiors, your friend groups, things like that. And it looks like there's some type of problems there, you know what I mean? Or there's something that Leticia wants, or that she wants to verbalize or vocalize, but nobody's noticing her. Nobody's really listening to what she has to say, what her input is. Even in the family, even in regards to money, people are shaking her down for money, but nobody wants to hear from you. That's basically what it's saying. And I don't know if this is because of the estranged relationship that her and Kiki had. You know what I mean? Definitely a broken relationship though, and honestly, with this Queen of Cups here, I feel like this is something that is affecting Leticia or hurting Leticia on an emotional level. Most definitely. Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing right now. There's people who supported Leticia within the family or within the network, and it seems like they're not anymore. But I think this is just because they're not talking, or, like I said, not giving her the attention or not checking in on her. There's something that she wants. She wants people to notice how she's feeling or pay attention to how she's feeling, and it's almost like nobody's doing that. Leticia feels like maybe it's done on purpose. I'm not showing necessarily that it is, but I feel like there's a part of her that feels undermined in a way. You know what I mean? Maybe undermined as a decision maker. Is that possible? I'm not sure. Or maybe undermined in her role as first cousin and best friend growing up, right? We're not talking about what the relationship deteriorated into, but what it was. It is pure sense, right? That's her same age cousin, her first cousin. I know at a point they were thick as thieves because I'm like that with my first cousins as well, right? Now, like I mentioned, I do feel like Leticia is struggling emotionally because she came in with this Queen of Cups, and the Queen of Cups represents your emotional disposition. And in the upright, it shows somebody that is highly emotional, right? Not necessarily in a negative way, maybe more in a nurturing, warm way, or maybe someone who's waiting for the chance to nurture, but feels like no one notices how much she cares, or no one wants to accept how much she cares or believe in how much she cares, right? However, Letitia's coming in as the Queen of Cups, and I've seen this in, I think, 3 of her readings way back in the day. It showed that she was the Queen of Cups, which at heart is a loving woman, or a woman that has a lot of love to give, right? But a lot of the things that she does are not logical. Maybe she's overprotective about certain things, especially when it comes to her family. But most people do see her as sort of like a counselor. And I would say that most people do kind of go to her when they want maybe to be understood, or maybe to be validated in some type of way, because this is showing that her demeanor is gentle and kind. And maybe it's easy for people to run over people with this kind of demeanor. You know what I mean? At the same time, the Queen of Cups, she can be moody. And maybe people don't always know what to expect when they come across her. Maybe they don't know if they're going to get a mood or somebody that's nurturing, warm, kind. In any event, whatever the situation is, Leticia is sought out for her level of understanding and her level of being able to listen to people, I think. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. But definitely, I don't know, definitely, especially with this 3 of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like there's something about her moods that affects her working relationships or her friendships or her family. Like, maybe there's something like where she's kind of like, I don't want to say fickle, but maybe, I don't know. I'm getting like a moody person, like a person who, I don't know. And the Queen of Cups, she can also be into herself too. So I don't know if Letitia's going through like a time where she's like, it's like vainglory. You know what I mean? Like, maybe she likes to be into her looks a little bit more. But again, I think that would stem from that inadequacy we saw earlier with that 9 of Pentacles in reverse. Especially from the perspective of, like we talked about, being from that quote unquote other side of the tracks. Colorism, being deep dark brown in the South. All of those could play into it as well. You know what I mean? There is somewhat of a villain, though. There's somewhat of a villain quality to the Queen of Cups. You know what I mean? Like I said, I feel like even with this 3 of Pentacles facing it in reverse, I do feel like there is a part of Leticia that does play puppet master a little bit. You know what I mean? And it could just be out of sheer overthinking. It could be out of vanity. It could be out of, like I said, wanting people to run up behind you, or feeling entitled to have things go your way. There could be many things. But there's something about her nature that affects the quality of her relationships, for sure. 100%. Right? Let's move forward. So in the recent past, and again, this spread is like centering around what's going on now, especially as far as like the passing of her cousin Kiki, right? So what's going on in the past is this Tower card, and this is in reverse. And then what is this? This is the 9 of Wands in reverse. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. All right, so the Tower card in reverse is the recent past, and I feel like there was maybe something going on the outside of their relationship or their situation that affected Letitia's desire to maybe, I don't know, have some type of relationship with her cousin. Because the Tower in reverse is about external forces kind of like putting something over the situation, but this is a force that's stronger than you. You know what I mean? And a force that's stronger than you is just somebody that has more energy infused into their will than you do into yours. You know what I mean? And it looks like there was something going on outside of them that was affecting the relationship, right? Leticia, if she wanted to, with this Tower card in reverse, she could have rose above that energy. She definitely could have. And if she wanted to, she could have taken charge of the situation between her and Kiki and made sure that their relationship worked the way that she claimed she wanted it to work. Right? There was some strong influences on the situation, that's no doubt. Whether those had to do with money, people, status, whatever the situation was, there was definitely something else working with it. But Leticia, she didn't try to rise above and take control of it. She did not, for whatever reason, right? I think it, like I said, I think it has to do with like a false sense of ego, especially with this Tower card. Tower can represent the ego, especially when it's in reverse. Is not a good thing because it represents your downfall. And if I'm looking at this spread, Queen of Cups, three of Pentacles in reverse, Nine of Pentacles in reverse, this could be saying like, you know, you could have oppressed people because of your ego. You know what I mean? I think that has something to do with it. More than the guilt about how you treated, quote unquote, your family or your cousin. It's more so how you were vain and there was something that you wanted to project, something that you wanted people to see that had to do with your ego and how your image was projected. And because you were threatened in some type of way, you tried to oppress this person. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. And so like if you're doing work, a lot of people struggle with forgiveness. You got to understand that the first forgiveness goes to yourself. Even if you didn't do anything wrong, you want to forgive yourself for allowing yourself to be abused, misused, mistreated, for having your energy, your information misappropriated, right? Casting pearls before swine, right? For others, there's levels of forgiveness, whatever you feel that they were wrong in, right? But I guarantee in whatever wrong you find in another person's actions, you can find the originator in you, right? And then you'll see how it manifested outwards, right? So yeah, a lot of us need to work on forgiveness. Definitely usable energy. Forgiveness turns into love when you alchemize it, right? So it can be a beautiful thing. It can be a beautiful thing. Anyways, whatever it is, the universe coming out of nowhere to give Leticia that shock, that wake up call, that slap. You know what I mean? And we talked about the chastising of the Holy Spirit earlier. This Tower in verse is that wake up call in saying that you allowed your ego and your vanity to oppress somebody simply because of what it looked like. You know what I mean? Not because of what it really was, right? In any event, Leticia was relying on a lot of like false, I don't know, like a false ego. You know what I mean? A false image to, I don't know, to navigate this world, I guess you could say. But again, she used that false ego to come down on people. That's all I can say, right? There's also something that Leticia did not do that people are blaming her for. You know what I mean? So in this case, this could be familial or it could be in any context, but it does make you wonder if her ego was also a guard. You know, you're being accused of shit you're not doing. You're being taken advantage of monetarily. You want your way. You're entitled. You have problems in your friend groups for whatever reason. You have complexes, right? So having all things considered, and what we know of the Tower being a figure that kind of locks you inside your own mind, whether it's for protection or just to limit outside influence, a marriage can be a tower because nothing is getting in that allows you a different school of thought, even from the divine, right? It seems to me that maybe her ego or her tower was built to protect her. Maybe it was a guard. Maybe she had her guard up. You know what I mean? Definitely, though. Definitely. Now, when a tower is in reverse, it does suggest that Leticia can recover from these things And maybe through the passing of her cousin, she will learn how to do that, right? Um, Maybe she should take in different information that is not necessarily in her space, but maybe that she could find if she went looking. Because it seems like maybe she takes a lot of direction or tones from her environment, from her husband, and things like that. But maybe she could seek, right? In any event, not everything will be destroyed from this feeling that Leticia is having. It's salvageable. It's redeemable. It's redeemable. But she needs to learn how to rebuild her ego, herself. And I feel like there's potential. I can't say that there's success, but there's potential there because the tower is in reverse. And the tower in reverse kind of lessens the impact of these things, right? It averts you from things being a disaster. Now, I don't feel like you're going to get away scot-free, but I feel like things are so redeemable, it could be like water under the bridge, right? You may need to fess up to something just within yourself. You know, you don't have to speak to others. You can just do things within yourself. But there are some situations that Leticia chose to turn a blind eye to, and some things that were happening with other people that she chose not to speak on. Even if she wasn't doing the direct oppressing, then she saw it happening and she didn't speak up for it. You know what I mean? That could also be leading to sensations of guilt or trouble, right? When you're not doing all that you can. Now, that's the recent past or feelings that she was struggling with. And let's move on to the present moment, or I don't know, whatever we're going to call it. But she has the nine of wands, and the nine of wands is in reverse. And again, we're looking at another battle. We're looking at somebody who's exhausted from fighting. We're looking at somebody who's exhausted from trying to defend themselves, trying to explain themselves. I don't know what to say about that, because on the one hand, you have to say, hey, whatever it is you've done, stand on it. But on the other hand, if you're being accused of things you're not doing, how do you stand on it? But how do you continue the fight when it's so, it's so consistent, right? Whatever it is, this fight, this struggle to represent yourself, stand up for yourself, Leticia's tired. She is depleted all of her energy sources. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's something in her that maybe wants to give up. I don't know if she wants to give up on the show. I don't know if she wants to give up on trying to prove herself. I don't know if she wants to give up on mending relationships that, for whatever reason, the origins are so thick and convoluted, she can't get through it. You know what I mean? Something is like feeling like she's losing or fighting a losing battle. You know what I mean? She's losing her energy for the shit. She's exhausted from the fighting, and she's trying to find ways to reconcile or look for ways to reconcile, or feels like she has been looking for ways to reconcile. It's falling on deaf ears, and she's over it. She's over it. You know what I mean? She's over it to the point of it's not even about standing guard anymore or even defending herself. She's just like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, she just can't actively engage. But there is a part of her that feels offensive. And offensive is when you make the moves first, right? Defensive is when you let people do shit to you and then you respond. Offensive is when you are proactive. So I'm not saying anything negative about Leticia, but I feel like there's certain feelings in her that she has, and she does she does start shit in her own way. She initiates some things at times. You know what I mean? I think it's because she gets tired, though. You know what I mean? I think she tries to play. I think when she gets tired of fighting or tired of going, and then she starts to initiate, whether that's a battle or an apology, closure, or whatever it is. She goes into being the starter. And oh wait, is she a Libra? Because that's card. I think, if I'm not mistaken, y'all said she was a Libra. If she's a Libra, I want to say Libra is a cardinal sign. Libra, Capricorn, Cancer. Yeah, I think those are cardinal signs. And cardinal signs are the initiators. Yeah, they are. So yeah, that makes sense for sure. And then this Queen of Cups energy. Queens are cardinal energy too. Yeah, and kings are fixed energy. Yeah, so that makes sense. So yeah, she's the initiator. In any event, Letitia's looking for a way out. Like I said, I feel like she wanted to run, go in a bunker somewhere, just get away from everything. I feel like that's where she's in, because there's just it's so much difficulty right now, and it's just so extreme, and she's feeling so emotional, but she's feeling alone in that, because it's almost like she doesn't have the right to have feelings. And she feels, and the Nine of Wands in reverse, this is like banishment. This is a feeling of banishment, but it's also from a spiritual or Holy Spirit standpoint, is saying that it's time for you to tear down your defenses and drop your guard and put yourself aside and do what you got to do. Since you want to be offensive, change that offense into proactivity, right? Drop the false front. Drop the hostility, drop the defensiveness she feels, because a lot of this shit catches Leticia off guard. That's her issue, and I don't feel like she can recover, like go with the punches as some people could. Some people are just quick, their emotional defenses are high, they're ready, they're trained to go. Leticia be bewildered, you know what I mean, like she gets caught off guard a lot, you know what I mean. In any event, I feel like there's something right now that she wants to do, some type of impulsive thing that she wants to do. Oh, we saw that earlier in the spread too, where there was like something she wanted to say or hop off the porch or something, but maybe there's some constraint there or restraint there, or her biting her tongue about something. But maybe that's what's causing her to, I don't know, get tired or something like that. Letitia's also one of those people who, she has something where when she gets activated by stress, she has some type of flare up. Now, I don't know, I'm not saying like a flare up. Some people have lupus or nerve damage, that those things that are flared up by stress and things like that. I don't see it as anything like that. I don't see it as something major. I see it as something minor, but something chronic or something nagging. So maybe she gets back pains. Oh yeah, because you got the Ten of Swords here. Those are back pains. Yeah, maybe she's having like back pains or like a pinched nerve in her back that's exacerbated by stress or something like that, or like sciatic pain. There's some type of pain that she's having as well. It looks like it's coming in. Most definitely. Okay, so let's move forward. We do have the Ten of Swords. I just talked about that when I briefly mentioned back pain. Ten of Swords is back pain physically. And when you look at the card from a physical perspective, it's back pain. When you look at the card from the tarot definition perspective, the Ten of Swords is about being betrayed, but it's also about you having some type of victim narrative. You know what I mean? I don't know if Leticia sees herself as a victim. And from that position and her feeling like something has happened to her, then comes this feeling of wanting to retaliate. You know what I mean? So I like Leticia, but her hands are not clean. Leticia, she holds grudges and she retaliates. She likes to get her lick back. She likes to get her revenge. It might not be as open, when some people are described as revengeful or vindictive, because you can see it in the open. Leticia, she does have that same, she has in this spread, she has like this sense of treachery. There's a treachery about her. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's based on the low point that she's at, because right now she's at a low point with this Ten of Swords for sure. But look at all that's going on, right? Look at all that's going on. And I feel like this is sudden. This misfortune with Kiki, this is sudden. But again, that's how it happens. It happens. And again, we talked about her being caught off guard and not knowing how to deal with things, right? Leticia, though, with this Ten of Swords, it does show that, yeah, there have been some actions that were taken against her due to hatred, jealousy, envy. Yeah, you've been through all that, but you've done it too. You know what I mean? That's what that seems. when you're the Ten of Swords, though, your victim narrative plays out as you being dyed in the wool, like, no, I know I've been fair. No, I've done the right thing. You really, you standing on that. You know what I mean? So there's a part of her that's standing on that she's treated everybody fairly. She hasn't gotten off her square. She hasn't done anything negative to anybody. And in the physical, maybe you have not. But the fact of the matter is that you have held attitudes towards people that had to do with a feeling of revenge, treachery, retaliation, jealousy, envy, hatred. And you have been spiritually aggressive towards others. How you control yourself is irrelevant. Right? You're a moving body and spirit. And so even when you do things like you have authority in situations or you speak on situations, you can have two people do the same exact thing and it be interpreted by people in two different ways. One is because one is spirit led and one is led from your ego. When you do things because God told you to or the spirit told you to, you're not going to get backlash no matter what you're saying. Now, obviously, there's going to be people who are determined to misunderstand you. They don't matter. Who you're talking to is never going to receive you in a negative way, even when you admonish them, if you're doing it through your spirit. If you're doing it through your ego, oh, you better be prepared to fight. You better just saddle up and get your Vaseline and take your earrings out because you're going to get your ass whipped because your ego is going to put the 2 on the 10. And that's just not what God told you to do. He ain't tell you to put all that stank on it. But I say that to say when your spirit communicates, you really don't get that backlash. You are really well received, even in your admonishments or strong opinions, right? The ego comes in when we want to add flair. We put the stank on it. You know how we do. We're humans. But I'm just telling you the difference. Especially for those of you who feel like when I say something, it's a problem. Yeah, because you saying something. But when you let God say something through you, there will be no problems. This I know, right? And I feel like Leticia, and then again, this, I think, you know what? This plays perfectly, though, when I think about it. This plays perfectly into this situation of her oppressing others. You know what I mean? Maybe her jealousy is of others living wild and free, and her having to behave judiciously and fairly and keep a certain front and airs, while others, my son was going through this. He's going through school and things like that. And he's like, Mom, he's like, there's all these rules and tests, and he's like, the people who break the rules and flunk the test, they graduated too. And he's like, that shit makes me feel stupid. I had to tell him, listen, integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. And yeah, they may have got through, but they're not going to be on the same track as you, the same progression as you. They just got through because they need somebody's on the floor to be on the front line. They need useful idiots. But don't ever think that you guys are equal because you finished in the same position, despite the hard work you did, right? That's just an analogy that I can make, because he was struggling with that. He's like, man, what's the incentive of me breaking my back to do the right thing if they get to stand next to me at the finish line? And I feel you, son. I really do feel you. But it is really not about that. It's not about that. But yeah, that's how my guy was feeling. You know what I mean? Anyways, Leticia still, right? The Ten of Swords character in the tarot is still a person of good intention. Yeah, they are human and they have their flaws that they obviously clearly don't see, right? They don't see how spiritual conditions manifest your reality and manifest life projecting your mind back to you. You know what I mean? So when you go through situations and you say, like, I haven't done this to a person, I haven't done that to a person, but your spirit has, and then so when that's projected onto you, then you feel like a victim. Oh, okay, makes sense. That's why you have the Ten of Swords in a victimized position. But you're a victim of your own mind. This is how you're looking at people, and they're just reflecting it back to you, and then you're not adequately tracing the steps. You're not tracing it back to you because you're judging yourself by your actions and not your spiritual disposition. All right. Yeah, I could see it clearly. I understand her. I understand her. I don't know what you call it, like dilemma or hiccup or whatever it is. I kind of understand it now. I get it, right? Okay, so then ending the reading, I do have to end this. Is the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, right? Seven of Pentacles is, this is harvest, right? But this is about anxiety over whether or not your actions are going to mean anything. Maybe there's something that Leticia wants to say or wants to give, or maybe she wants to break that ego, have that conversation, reach out, move forward, move towards, take accountability. I don't know, right? But she is having anxiety about whether or not it's going to mean anything. To me, that boils back to, are you doing it for vanity? Remember, we talked about vanity earlier in the spread. Because when you do something, it doesn't have to mean anything. You're doing it because it's on your heart to do. Whether or not that's received or not is not your concern. You're doing what you're supposed to do, what you're told to do. You're being obedient, and the outcome is not for you to work on. It's not. You know what I mean? You follow your instructions and you move on. You don't sit back and wait and watch. You know, do what you're supposed to do. When you're waiting and watching, that's your ego, right? So she has anxiety over whether or not she does the hard work of bridging these gaps will play out or work out for her, right? Letitia's heart is in it. Her heart is in her family. Her heart is in her relationships with her friends. Her heart is in her relationship that she had with Kiki, for surely. For surely. Her heart is in it. But I don't know. I don't think that she has that. I don't know. I don't want to say she doesn't, because she has a pure intention. We saw that with the Ten of Swords, but there's also something in her that wants to be received well for all of her efforts. And if she feels like she won't be received well, then she won't do it. And I don't know how I feel about that when it comes to spiritual vesseling, you know what I mean, in God's work. Now, I'm not here to judge because I'm not on Letitia's path. You know what I mean? So, but I'm just saying, just in general, how I look at it. I don't know how you're going to get out of that situation, right? Seven of Pentacles could be also just about money too, though. Like maybe maybe you're in denial. Maybe you think you got a little bit more than what you do have too. Or maybe you're lying about what you do have, because I don't know, Seven of Pentacles in reverse is like, you need to pay attention to your money. Then you got the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Then you got the Three of Pentacles in reverse. These are all cards saying, watch your money. Right? Maybe you're like pretending you have more than what you do. Or maybe you've projected that you have more than what you do. And now that you're being shaken down or taken advantage of or asked of something, maybe you ain't really in a position to give all like you project that you should be able to give in. And maybe that's creating some type of like backlash too, with you projecting an image that's not real. And then now people pull your card and they find out that you ain't got it, but then I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost giving me a vibe like you pretending like you had it, then you got your card pulled, now you don't got it, but people looking at you like you're selfish, but they're not looking at you like maybe you don't really got it, because you always putting on like you got it. That's how I'm looking at it. You know what I mean? Because it looks like their money is tied up in some investments. It's funny how when you, like, people do things for money, they're talking about money. Yeah, it's here today, but how if the universe decides to drain that shit out of you, it will. You will waste your money on legal fees, improper investments, expenses here, there, everywhere, unfruitful endeavors. Those gifts that you get, they can be taken as sure as the day is long. You know what I mean? We see the what do they call it? The redistribution of wealth with a lot of the stars. We see that with Young Thug, and I'm not saying these fools ain't guilty by no stretch of the imagination, but you can see how their wealth is being redistributed through the legal system. You know what I mean? Having these trials that are going on for years and 3 years, and that's a way of draining wealth, putting people under scrutiny, making them sell their assets under things that are baseless or not proven yet. But it's all about the redistribution of wealth. These people are taking their money back for whatever reason, right? But anyways, this is the point that I'm trying to make, is that the Seven of Pentacles is not only about a financial loss. It's just about loss, period, and anxiety over that, right? Leticia is worried. She's very sad, very sad. I feel like she's not comfortable with these feelings at all. Um, she suspects that people are trying to take advantage of her, and it's warranted and it's true according to the tarot spread. The Seven of Pentacles in reverse is another card of being just tired. Problems on the show, right? Because Pentacles are a work card. We got the Three of Pentacles in reverse, Seven of Pentacles in reverse. This is problems on that show for sure, you know. Things not going as planned. Like I said, I feel like Leticia just wants to hide under a rock. I really do. And can you blame her? But anyways, that is our spread on Leticia Scott. And how she's really feeling. I don't know if anybody has heard from her or what's been reported. I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up too much, but I knew I wanted to check in on her as a fellow member of the show. I'll be checking in on Stormy too really soon. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think of the video. I'd recommend a forgiveness water or balm. Obviously emotional healing. Fast money if you need to generate money for expenses that are, you know, out of nowhere. And this is just me talking to people who may find themselves in the same exact position. Grief, right? Grief water. All those things are available to bring solace and to help you alchemize this energy, because it's here. There's nothing you can do about it other than turn it into usable energy, right? And that's my goal for you. So check me out on the Inner Alchemist at Etsy. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of this video. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.